Hello, continue my coverage on Sunday, June 1st of the First America's Slow Live Chess Weekend Championship. I've got a little computer lag here, which is messing me up since I broke. There are two results coming in. This was one of them. It was a agreed draw. Another one was one where Black won. He was afraid of Rook E2, and Black didn't think he could make any progress. Oh wait, now it's giving me another game. Okay, and Black won this one, and there's two games going. No, there's down to one game. This is the last game here. Let me try to click to it. Okay, so come on, flick games for me. I'm just going to have to run through these games. I want to take a look at the game in progress. But it looks like we have a two-way tie for first in the upper section with Chess USA and Caronte. They'll play next round and for the unofficial championship and or official championship, however you want to look at it. Now look what it's doing. Okay, come on. All right. Now somehow what's happened here is White has lost the exchange, and Black is looking pretty good here. This was completely winning for White at one point. It just required technique. Let's try to find out what's happened here. Then we can go over and look at the other games. Okay, I remember Bishop G4, and now that hangs D3. I would think take with the H pawn and try to generate anything on the H file. Seems to be the correct path. Now you're going to freeze up. Okay, takes a pawn, and now Black has a deflection move. Takes this. Now does Black still have all 8 pawns? Black has 8 pawns. White's down to 4. So Black has 3 pawns for the piece. Let's see. Now needed to take this. Okay, and then on this, White can play G5. And Black's going to have fun guarding H7. It's just a matter of time, I think, before White gets a battery built up on H7 and in its curtains. Because now White's kind of in the unenviable task that he's going to have to win this game all over again. So White took the knight. Now a couple pawns fall with check. Now here's Black still with all 8 pawns, and White's down to 3. So Black's got a tremendous material advantage here. Offers a queen trade, which can't be accepted, and now gets these pawns running. Now White's trying anything to get something going, something generated. Now, I don't know what bringing the queen back does, except pressure a pawn. Yeah, it's kind of a shame. This game was in White's hand. Okay, let's look at some of the completed games. If it'll let me flick over, then we'll come back to this one. That's at move 31. It looks like it's going to switch now. Come on, you can do it. You can't see what's off the screen. It's doing some things indicating it's trying to move. There it did. Okay, probably flicked all those games. Okay, so this game was agreed as a draw here, and now I can mention some comments. Let's see that they made. Good game, Black says. White says he was scared of Rook E2. Use him against draws like these, but I can't play on. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. White missed Rook E2. Black says you're a very strong player, but you didn't try the best line against my opening. So maybe Black knows the lines better than White does, or White didn't want to try something. And Justman is saying that his opponent yesterday, JRTK, didn't play the best lines. He said, a bishop E2, you should try knight takes C6. Let's just get to that position. instead of bishop e2, you should try knight takes c6, bc6, e5, knight d5, knight e4, queen c7, queen b6, c4, bishop b6. Yeah, that's kind of long-winded. But I'm always against this. I don't think that's the best. Push here, he's saying knight d5, knight e4, queen c7, then what's he give, f5? How's f5 possible? It must mean f4. Queen b7 or b6, c4, bishop b4 check. That's a completely different kind of game. And White's saying his goal in the opening was, let's get rid of those arrows. Come on, that's lagging, that's why. My goal in the opening, White says, was to undermine your pawn structure. White gives some more analysis to the other line. With White getting his king out, king e2, f5, knight f2, bishop a6, king f3, triple exclam, king is, or maybe double exclam, king is safe on f3 and White has a comfortable position. Black's agreeing with White, I know, but my piece development is easy in all other lines, the ones I mentioned. And White says, I get 3 pawn islands and an isolated double pawn, but I fail in the second part of my plan, which was trading pieces and go for a Fable endgame, unless you transpose into a Scheveningen. Thanks for the good wishes. Wish you good luck as well. After bishop e2, I was expecting bishop b4. Yeah, that makes sense. That's playable, but d5 is more testing, Black found. I was thinking it was maybe premature, but oh well. After I sack my e4 pawn for development, White's saying, if bishop e4, he can sack this pawn and get development. Especially because almost no one has any idea what to do in these structures. This is the first time White saw d5. He needs to look at it. And Black's saying, did you think you had a good game here? I always assess these lines extremely comfortable for Black. And he looked at all with an engine months ago, and he started employing the 4-knight Sicilian. It's a good idea for Black. Okay, Black knows the opening. And White seems he seems to know the opening, but his middle game was horrible. He goes, Black saying he doesn't know how White can improve it. Rook e3 was a mistake, White thinks. Leaving the rook opening for being harassed. And Black says, yeah, maybe rook e1. We'll talk about that when we get there, the only one. Well, let's just go up there. They don't mention the sack on e7. Maybe they will. Let's see. Even if rook e1, Black doesn't think there's any way for White to take advantage of it. And White says if you don't win the middle game, you'll have lots of problems on the ending. I guess that's what White would have problems with his pawn structure getting shattered if bishop b4, bishop takes c3. Bishop b5 is always answered. Black is saying bishop b5 is always answered by bishop d7. And Black says most positions I get are drawn middle game because of perpetual check. That's rare. I'm not sure what he means by that. The point I was improving since my book ends at, or improvising, his book ends at d5. So that's a move White wasn't familiar with, and Black says his book ends right there. So I wasn't sure about it. I'm still not sure about it, but I'm first to say it could be a viable move. Black does accept an isolated queen pawn. And anyway, he says he plays d5, but he doesn't know it. He says there's in his club there's a couple guys that always play it, and he meets the 4 knights every week. So apparently he's familiar with the line. That's one thing, some people play certain lines and will play them over and over again, and if you get practice with them, they can show you some things about those openings. I'm just going through their comments anymore. That's what White is saying, and Black's wanting to meet them so he can play them. And he says he's played countless Sicilians from both sides. He hasn't seen d5 by anybody but himself. Anyway, let's see. What's white? Oh, well, white is close to a national master title. He's 50 points away. Well, good luck. Hope you get there. Uh, anyway, so let's see. There's not much else. They said they're going to go steady, but let's look a little bit here. Thinking rook e1 was better, but because the rook got harassed a little bit. Well, it did get a little harassed, but black goes for, or white goes for occupation of c5. Now I remember saying something about c5 already. What was my idea? Oh, my idea was at one point was here was knight e4. I think knight e4 could spell some trouble. Let's see if it allows. Hey, now it's allowing it. Before it wouldn't. What does white do here? Okay, you can always bring the knight back to d4, but you can't go to c5. That's one of the keys. Aside from the fact that you're attacking a7 or f2. What does white do here? I was talking about bringing the queen or the rook over or something. But you know, if you come over here, yeah. But you see, yeah. Here's one of the problems. c5. It opens up pressure here. So that move is coming. c5 is coming. So let's wow. What am I tend to miss things. What am I missing here? Can white? No, I was looking at trying to bring the queen and rook over, but the bishop just munches on h3. Thank you very much. Knight e4. What does white do? Well, let's analyze this for a second. Okay, rook f3. Let's try that. But now comes c5. And the point of this is you've got an immediate threat on this. Well, white can take on d5, I suppose. And if bishop takes a4, queen takes a4. So maybe e4. Maybe it's not as potent as I thought. But for what it's worth, we're keeping white out of c5. For what it's worth. Only, rook f3 is a lemon. We have bishop g4. Okay, so let's find a different move. Queen f1. Let's try c5 anyway. Attacks the knight. Threatens this. Bishop b5. So you move the knight. Now, let's see. Let's go here. You probably have to come. No, that drops the knight. Duh. Okay. Maybe white has resources here. It just seems like such a strong move. Centralizing the knight on an advanced square, attacking f2, threatening little tricks with the c5 push. Apparently, black has resources. Well, good game, gentlemen. I'm going to close this one down. Find the right one to close down, and look forward to watching you play next round. Okay, close that one, and now we still have one game going. Let's take a quick look on that. Ooh, it's trouble. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 pawns. A rook and 7 pawns for 2 knights, or a rook and 5 pawns for 2 knights is what it balances out to. White's threatening a mate in 2. Queen check. King g8 and knight mate. I don't think that's enough. Okay, let's look at the conclusion of this game. This didn't last very long. It was where he tried to save that pawn with bishop d7. And queen took and this took. And grabbed that pawn. So all black's queenside pawns are disappearing the way he was trying to hold on to, plus he lost the exchange. Now he stops him from castling. That's better than grabbing the pawn on a7, I suppose. Pressure on the queen, but white's the exchange and 2 pawns ahead. And black gave up, so the faulty strategy was right here. This is a known book position. White plays a4 to stop b5. So you can't magically get it in and try to hold to that pawn. I know if white doesn't play e5, then black can play b5 and get away with it. But anyway, good luck to both of you next round. I'll close that one up. We'll come back to, let's see, make sure I'm closing the right one down. Yeah, KJ Foster. Okay. We have one other result. This one didn't last long. This is the one where black parted with his fianchetto bishop right out of the opening. There's a name for this. I remember seeing it recently, and I can't think what it is. Or a name for a similar type position. It's not important. Okay, so now there's the trick. And he got the bishop, he castled. And then here I was saying white's undeveloping. And black starts making threats. Okay, white covers. But where's white's kingside development? It's non-existent. Now there's the threat of bishop a4 maybe. Burying the... Well, queen takes b7. I can't get away with that. Rook b8 and win the rook on b2. So the queen comes back. Didn't want to get buried on a3. Now pressure on c4. So maybe queen e4 here. Nope. Shut his own bishop in. Now, when's white going to develop his kingside pieces? Now pressure on c3. Oh, and the king can't castle. Uh-oh, there goes the exchange. Yeah, what white did wrong here was white didn't get castled ever. White didn't develop his kingside. We got to find a... let's scroll forward. Okay, instead of playing to keep black from castling, why not simply develop the king side? Okay, let's try that. Let's just play some moves. Let's put the knight on e2. Okay, now we know, well, knight e2 we're not, knight e5 we're not guarding c4. I hate to play knight h3. I'm thinking that pawn can take and pawn can take, and oh no, then the queen's guarding the knight on h3. So let's try knight h3. The point being, I was looking at ways black could exchange pawns, swing the knight over, a tempo on the queen, and then rip the knight off and give white double pawns. But maybe white can survive. So you know, just get your pieces developed here. If you're concerned about the knight, spend one more tempo, bring him back. Black's going to take this soon enough on his own. Let him now. And queen c2. Now black might try the maneuver queen here and here, followed by b6 and here. At least white's getting closer to getting castled. He may lose a pawn, but he's getting closer to being castled. Maybe what white needs to do is now play... Well, if answer queen a5 with a4, that keeps the queen from going to a4. And this looks better from white than what the game went. Okay, thanks, gentlemen, for playing. Close the right game here. We have one game left. And here it comes. It's loading up. So let's go back to the beginning here. Time left. White has 31 minutes. Black has 11. And now that bishop's buried, white's got to be winning this. This might be just the time to punt with... no, you wait. You got to guard this. Okay. That guarded that. Now he didn't take. This might be the time to punt and play this. But you can still take that guy. The check looks natural. What about b3 now? What's he play? Bishop g4. But here's the critical stage. You got to take this way. Anchor this pawn in on f6 and try to generate an attack on the king side. because now I'm afraid that the white king is exposed and the checks are coming. White just can't generate any play. Let's see. See, rook c2 is a problem. That queen is infesting. Rook c2 check is the threat. King g1, then queen f3 threatens mates on d1 and g2. So now white's threatening a mate in 1, but what if black starts checking? Rook c2 check should do it. Rook c2 check. Well, white can play king g3. If anything, black can play queen f4 check, give back a pawn. He's got plenty of pawns. Get the queens off the board, and then those pawns on the queen side are just too dangerous. So rook c2 check seems to be the move, and then if, well, the king g1, he can't check again. Queen f3 is met by queen takes h7 mate, so I guess you have to play king g1. But I think black will do well with rook check first. Nice thing about the knights is they're taking a lot of turf away from the black pieces. Kind of put green arrows. I don't know if it'll let me highlight. Yeah, it will. Okay, look at the squares these knights are covering. Let's do it this way. We're going to put black square or red squares wherever these knights are covering and see how much of the white black camp these guys are influencing. That's it. Don't let me make these. Okay, so out of these 20 squares, 25 squares, 5 by 5 wide, come on, light up. Light up. There we go. One there. There. Okay, now we have that's just with the knight on f6. He's covering 8 out of 25 squares, or 32% of the range. Out of those, this knight on e4 is only controlling 3 squares within there, but that's still 11 squares inside the black position that white's knights are controlling. That's 44%. Okay, I was thinking the check would be good. Now, where's white need to put his queen? Probably h6 is the more natural one. But queen g6 is coming. So queen e2, I'm sorry, queen h5, queen g6 chases the queen out, or just throw that check in. You know, that check is coming any time now. You can play knight takes g5, and if queen takes f6, queen takes h7 as mate. Might just try it, see what happens. Knight takes g5. Almost have to. So, this is the last game of the round. Managed to cover all the other games during and after. So, if I had white, I'd realize I'm losing. I'd just play knight takes g5 and hope you grab my knight. And then maybe there's a threat of knight f7 check. Maybe, white's close to getting a mate with his knights, but not close enough. Another thing about knight takes g5 is black can just simply play rook c7 and cover the mating square, have it overprotected. Then queen takes f6 is a threat. Right now, the burden's on white to find a move, and I'm not sure what he does. Even if black didn't have those queenside pawns on a5 and b5, I think white would be in trouble here because it's still 5 pawns against 2. I've kind of gone silent there a moment. Queen e1 threatens a pawn, but black will just shove one or the other. Oh, that's okay. That's gotta hurt. Just trade the queens and run the pawns. I guess white's trying to stop a mate, but this virtually, unless you can do something with the knights, get them back to blockade in time. My feeling is it can't be done. The pawns are too far advanced. So let's see. White has under 10 minutes for the game, and but every time he moves, he gets 30 seconds, so there'll be a number of moves he'll be able to play in a matter of seconds. I don't think white will or black will lose on time. See, there goes the pawn. Now, how do you stop it? Well, let's see. Knight d2, a3, knight b3. But unfortunately, you can't get your other knight over there to blockade fast enough. Knight d2. He's going to grab that pawn. I think it'd be great if white had a pawn on h6. He'd be threatening knight f7 mate, but it just isn't enough here. Rook can go to b8, go to c6. There goes to c6. So now knight f e4. White's getting the knights a little closer. Knight f e4 is the move, but I think these pawns are just too strong. White can even sacrifice on d6 and probably run his a pawn. Okay, so now the knights are a little bit closer, and white's got one pawn back, but black has too many pawns. If those 8 pawns didn't exist, it's probably a draw because white's got most of the pawns blocked and an extra piece, but I'm afraid this is black's game. There they go. Now knight c4. Knight c4 and hope for the best. But let's see. Rook takes, pawn takes, a3. Let's see. Rook takes, pawn takes, a3. Knight d2, a2, knight b3, blockading everything. Except black still has an army of pawns. Oh, a little tired. There they go. So now knight ed2. The idea being on a2 you play knight b3. So white's trying to blockade this. I think you can blockade these pawns. Yeah, maybe white's alive. I just don't think so. A3, knight b3. Yeah, maybe white's alive. 11 kicking. He's managed to get the knights back. It looked kind of grim. Has black misplayed this? Okay, now knight b3. And the queenside pawns are blocked. And just leave both knights there and make black win it somewhere else. Okay, now knight a1. Ooh, that doesn't do it. Okay. Okay, knight a1. Oh, b3. Yeah, that's a shame. Let's see. Knight a1, b3. Although, block the other one. You know, just too many pawns for black. You can win the g pawn, or maybe the d pawn, but just too many pawns for black. And there it goes. Knight takes, and game is over. Looks like there was one chance in there to try to blockade it. We'll take a look at it. I think white should resign, and he did. Okay, let's back this up. Okay, knight b3, rook here. Okay, white played knight takes e5. You need to play here. Now, b3. Okay, you're not threatening b2 because you take it. Well, maybe white can, maybe black can push b3. See, b3, knight takes. Then the rook comes over. The knight has to get out of danger. And then the rook comes down here. Yeah, that seems to do it. See, without this, it looks like maybe white's making some progress. King up here to tie the rook down to guarding things, but then the king can come up. No, this has to be losing, but I think this does it. And now here, come back, and here, and it'd be great if you could bring a knight here, but you can't. So the knight goes here, and you get the queen, but you got rid of both the queenside pawns, and you just don't have enough. Black will win this. Or it can last a little bit longer. So let's go back and look at this possibility when he took on g4 with taking with the pawn, because I think that was the critical move. Let's take with the pawn. Okay, what black? Oh, wait a minute. No, this damn knight's hanging. Shoot. Okay. Okay, queen takes. Now I've lost the score of the game. Let's see. I was talking about queen g4. But anyway, queen. I think it happened queen b2. Two, three, four, 5 pawns for 8. It's amazing that black can have compensation for that piece he had to give up. The queen just got too active. Let's try to restrict it a little further. Okay, so queen 8. This is good. This is good. Threatens a fork. Makes him give up the piece. Now attacks a piece. Defends it. Here. What was I saying earlier? b3. Just let him have the pawn on d3. Okay, just let him have it. White's got to be for choice. It's certainly something to sit down with for a couple hours and try to solve. Be good exercise for you, Carlos. Okay, I'm going to close this one off and take a break. I'm yawning. I probably should take a nap before I do another one of these. I've been on giving 4 hours of instruction already, 5 hours after I got up, a little over 5 hours after, so I'm pretty tired. Anyway, look forward to the last round. I think White could have won, but he didn't. Good job by Black for hanging tough. And thanks for watching, and there'll be our set of videos for round 4, and we're done. Thanks.